Hi, so my name is Brooke, and I'm going to talk about why I feel like gender is a very important part of diversity that is necessary to having an inclusive environment for students in the classroom or in any sort of environment where there's youth involved. So, as we know, diversity is having any sort of variability or differences between individuals. So, that can include race, religion, socioeconomic background, or gender/sexual orientation, which is what I'm going to discuss today. And something that I've learned so far in this class that has been really interesting is talking about the differences between gender identity and sexual orientation and sexuality, just because I don't have a super deep knowledge about that kind of thing. So, in this past week, we learned about how gender involves what you identify with. So that can be something that's very fluid and that changes, and that is what we've especially seen with youths as they're trying to figure out their identities. Whereas sexual orientation is who you're attracted to with other people, and then your biological sex is what you're born as. And so your gender and sexual orientation can match what you're born as, or it can be fluid, like I said earlier. So first, what I learned this week was that understanding the difference between the two is actually very important, because a lot of times they get lumped together and confused, and that can just be confusing when you're interacting with members of the LGBTQ community or children who are still in that phase of figuring out who they are. So I think that having that kind of base knowledge can make your interactions a lot smoother and just a lot more welcoming, just because you're not questioning who they are and kind of coming at it from like a policing standpoint. Another thing that is important is to be affirmative, and like I said, not question or embarrass them. So we talked about how it is very important to acknowledge who they are as human beings and affirm them, and saying that like it is okay for them to be in this kind of stage of confusion, and like it's okay for them to be different and not kind of fit the two gender stereotypes that a lot of people associate with children as just being like male or female, boy or girl, stuff like that. And another thing that I learned is that if you don't have these personal experiences, it can make it really difficult to relate to these children. Thus, a difficulty in creating that welcoming environment. So for me personally, I am a heterosexual female, so I identify with the pronouns she and her. And so with my education growing up and just with like my background, I don't have a ton of experience with dealing with the LGBTQ community. So it's really important for me to kind of get out there and have that education and interact with those people, just because I haven't been exposed to that. And so I therefore don't understand a lot of the challenges that they face. So for example, like if a young girl who identifies as a boy but is a biological girl is dealing with discrimination or bullying in their school, I can't relate to that because I don't identify the way that she does or he does. So I think it's really important to put yourself out there and to get those experiences from other people who have experienced things that are different from what you have, just so you can kind of provide that all-inclusive environment that's different from just your viewpoint and the way that you see the world.